Hey guys, it's Michael. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I will show you how you can easily find out what the perfect individual grip width for your dip setup is. So in order to be able to really adjust your dip width, you need to have adjustable bars like these, which are our new SL Pro bars, and you can adjust those from 65 centimeters, pretty wide, all the way, just need to loosen this, to number one, which will be 48 centimeters, so super narrow. And when it comes to really improving dip performance, being able to have an individual grip width on a setup that allows you to also adjust that over time is very, very nice. So that's why we've built this amazing product. You can now pre-order it, and now let's dive into the video. Finding the perfect dip width is very, very simple. I will teach you an easy rule how you can set it up, and then afterwards we will talk about some exceptions that can occur. And the rule that I want to tell you to set up your dip bars perfectly is, I want you to take a look at the widest possible grip where you can still comfortably maintain your elbows over your wrist. So in that case, that dip width here is okay, but you can see my elbows are collapsing a bit in. And if I push them over, it's not too comfortable for me. So this would be a bit too wide. Now, size 8 here is mine that I use. So I go a bit closer inside, which is the dip width that I use. So it's easy for me to find it. Now, it's still pretty wide, but I can perfectly maintain my elbow over the wrist. That means I have sufficient shoulder extension and internal rotation to get into this position. So this for me would be the perfect dip width and setup. Now let's take a look at why wider is better. It's basically the same concept as with a bench press. On competitive events and powerlifting, you will very, very rarely see someone using a narrow bench press grip because it leads to much more range of motion. And more range of motion means you need to move a very heavy weight over a bigger distance. And that's just harder to do. So what we're trying to do is we want to minimize range of motion. And in a dip, that's the same as in a bench press. A wider grip leads to less range of motion because the more I abduct, so the more I bring that elbow away from my body, the shorter the effective length of my upper arm is. And that means I need to move less forward. I can dip more upright and I need to push less range of motion. But of course, everything comes at a price. Let's go to a more extreme example so you can see better what I'm talking about. So I will adjust my bars to their max width, which is 65 centimeters, which would be very wide for me. So now you can see if I'm in this position here, there is a very big distance between my hip and the bars. That means there's a very big force trying to pull me down that I need to counterbalance by always pushing my arms inside. So the wider I grip, the bigger the stability demands on the dips are, and the more mobility I need to bring my arm in position, which is harder to stabilize. So the end range is here. It's just much harder to stabilize. So here's the exception to the rule that you should always grip as wide as possible, where you can still remain elbow over wrist, and that is if you are a beginner. So what we can easily do if we start to learn weighted dips is go much more narrow because the stability demands are much less. So we can maybe start on a width like this, which is pretty narrow. And we train on that until we feel comfortable, until we feel confident and stable. And then over time, we can just go step by step a bit wider to make our dip more efficient without sacrificing joint health and without sacrificing technique. So if you are a beginner, don't be afraid to start narrow. If you're already advanced and your dip looks very hingy, you feel like you need to lean forward a lot, you feel like you don't get your chest activated as much, all of these problems can be solved. At least one part of the solution can always be a wider grip. So I can just advertise a wide grip for all of you competitors out there. And yeah, that's how you find your perfect grip width. If you're looking for further upgrades for your dip setup next to the SL Pro bars, which you can now pre-order, they will be shipped in July. You can get the SL Pro 7mm slip sleeve, the most advanced and best elbow sleeve for dip out there on the market. And of course, our all-time bestseller, the King of Weighted belt, so that you can really get the best dip setup out there.